Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of No Drama Discipline, The Whole Brain Way to Calm the Chaos and Nurture Your Child's Developing Mind by Daniel Siegel. Have you ever had a meltdown in a toy store because you refused to buy your child a new toy? What about a child who screamed in agony because they were denied their favorite frozen treat? Has this ever happened to you? You've probably experienced a wide range of emotions in situations like this. As a result, perhaps you found yourself feeling embarrassed, irritated or pity-stricken. A parent's failure to properly discipline their child may cause you to believe that you are a bad parent. The child may need more discipline, or you may think that they haven't been disciplined enough. Even though some members of the older generation may be skeptical about the benefits of a jolly good hiding or a firmer hand, others might support the idea of a timeout. Daniel Siegel and Tina Bryson's book, No Drama Discipline, offers a practical guide for rethinking our views on discipline. One of the most challenging aspects of parenting is discipline, and numerous books have been written on how to do it correctly. The interdisciplinary whole brain approach combines science and everyday examples to practically provide parents and caregivers with the tools to address conflict in adult-child relationships. We tend to overlook the fact that children's brains are wired differently than ours. A child's emotional development is greatly affected by how we respond to these differences. An expert in child and early childhood development, Dan Siegel is a professor of psychiatry at UCLA. As a psychologist, Tina Bryson has written numerous books on attachment, child rearing and interpersonal neurobiology. This brief summary of No Drama Discipline focuses on the importance of compassion and empathy when dealing with children and their emotions. Having the knowledge of how to avoid embarrassing situations, bad moods, or feelings of frustration are all advantages of this approach. To deal with conflict in a realistic way, this book offers a model that takes cognitive development into account. Children's perceptions of the world differ from those of adults, as do their emotions. A discipline model based on mutual respect, empathy, and growth is presented in this book. This type of discipline is not a one-time fix, it requires constant interaction with the child and a lot of patience. Discipline is about putting in the time and effort early on, so that both parties can develop good habits. Is discipline something that comes to mind when you think of your own childhood? Discipline can cause us to feel ashamed, anxious, or even afraid. A lot of us may have been taught that discipline would result in unpleasant consequences or was something that we were threatened with as a child. We are more likely to focus on the behavior of those who discipline us than on our own when discipline is based on punishment and consequences. Children who were punished focus on their resentment, rather than their behavior and the lessons that could be learned. The key message in No Drama Discipline is that we need to adjust our attitudes toward understanding discipline and disciplinary practices. Discipline shouldn't be harsh or humiliating, and it shouldn't be something we dread doing. The idea is to use discipline as a teaching tool rather than a weapon. It's not about yelling or reprimanding, but about listening and then giving specific instructions. Discipline is not about punishing, but about teaching. Our parenting will be transformed if we adopt this new mentality. Discipline also shouldn't be seen as a one-size-fits-all approach, but rather as a dynamic process that adapts to our current situation. A series of teaching moments, rather than a single blanket form of discipline that covers all eventualities, is how the authors see these. Furthermore, this book provides tools to help us better connect with our children, which can be difficult. To avoid losing our cool and yelling at our child, how can we engage with them instead? Redirecting negative feelings and offering a path to positive change are the keys to success. This shifts the focus from the problem to the solution and creates a win-win situation. If you're going to discipline your child, you're going to have to be proactive about it, and you can't let your guard down and go back to old habits. We believe that if we provide our children with enough time and resources, they will be able to self-reflect, self-monitor, and self-discipline. All children are unique, and their brains have a significant impact on their behavior and reactions to situations. Hangry is a portmanteau term for the feeling of anger and frustration that we experience when we're starving. It's even more difficult for a child to deal with these feelings and emotions because they haven't yet developed the ability to understand and cope with them. The brain, like every other organ in the body, develops and matures over time. Parents and caregivers need to recognize that each stage of child development is unique, and therefore you cannot use a single approach to discipline. You can find a variety of approaches for dealing with the various stages of a child's emotional development. This knowledge allows us to tailor a specific type of discipline and communicate with our children in a peaceful, constructive and loving manner. The more time you spend with your child and the more opportunities you create for learning, the more progress your child will make. The upstairs and downstairs brain, Then, is where we'll start. It's not uncommon for a baby's brain to be fully formed when they are born. Breathing, blinking, and yawning are all controlled by the lower brain. However, the cerebral cortex, or upper brain, does not fully develop until the adolescent years. Many people don't reach their full potential until they've spent a significant amount of time developing their upper brain. As a result, our brains are context-specific and all of our life experiences have a significant impact on how we perceive the world around us. Throughout our lives, our brains are constantly changing and evolving. As a result, we must recognize that children often lack the ability to comprehend the concept of behavior and its consequences. As a further bonus, the brain is able to be either reactive or receptive. Reactive people are nearly impossible to relate to, so the strategy is to help them get into a more receptive state. What are the best ways to maximize teachable moments when it comes to disciplining children? Methods for improving our approach to discipline. Traditional discipline is counterproductive because it is not conducive to learning or teaching. It's impossible to enforce discipline until you can create a conducive learning environment for your children. The goal is to shift your child from a reactive to a receptive state of mind. To put this in perspective, imagine a typical restaurant customer who is upset about something. It doesn't matter whether they're acting irrationally or just complaining about their bad experience, they're reacting. You'll probably notice the manager nodding his head or looking a little shell-shocked by the outburst in these kinds of situations. A solution cannot be reached until a complainant is more open to receiving information. To do this, the manager must establish a relationship with the diner and determine the source of their complaint. Same goes for kids when they're on edge or agitated. The ability to discipline a child, therefore, is based on the development of a variety of skills to deal with certain behaviors. As a parent, it's important to focus on these skills so that we can identify our strengths and weaknesses and learn how to best communicate with our kids. By doing this, both the child and the parent will learn valuable lessons about effective communication and the importance of a positive outcome. In the past, discipline was based on consequences and punishments, but this is no longer the case. We've all heard that our actions have consequences. The problem with this is that most of us don't learn about this until we've done something that has repercussions. The most important message is that we need to put more emphasis on teaching and learning rather than telling children that they will face dire consequences if they break the rules. Discipline begins with the concept of establishing a link between different aspects of one's life. Empathy, validation, and understanding are the three pillars of connection. Keep in mind the 4 S's when establishing a connection. Safe, secure, seen, and soothed. These are. Take Nick and Adam as an example. Adam was left out of Nick's game with his friends. Consequently, Adam drew a picture of the toy that Nick favored. When Adam is behaving badly, a parent may want to yell at him and chastise him. Even if this worked, it wouldn't get to the root of the problem. For this, Adam's upper brain needs to be engaged by asking him about why he used Nick's teddy bear in his drawing. Start by kneeling down on Adam's level and looking him straight in the eye, and reassure him that everything is fine. When Adam does this, he will feel more secure. After acknowledging Adam's feelings, ask him to explain why he acted in the manner he did. In what state of mind was he at the time of this encounter? In the end, Adam will be able to express himself and you will be able to soothe him and connect with him to teach him about why his behavior was inappropriate. It's difficult to teach children to regulate their emotions while also trying to teach them better behavior. With children, most adults attempt to lecture and reason. But when children's minds are clouded by reactive feelings, it's almost impossible to engage with them in a meaningful way. Mistakes parents make when it comes to discipline. They are careful not to point fingers, but the authors provide a list of common mistakes that parents can avoid. One of the most common mistakes parents make when disciplining their children is to wait until they've calmed down before enforcing their rules. When a child has calmed down, there are a few ways to create valuable teaching opportunities. Parents, for example, have a tendency to lecture and talk excessively when disciplining a child. In these situations, children tend to filter out what's being said. Allowing children to speak and offer solutions is a practical way to deal with this problem. Connecting in this manner will aid in the development of one's mindsight. Problem-solving through empathy and insight is called mindsight. A person's tendency toward self-control increases in direct proportion to their level of mental clarity. A person's ability to put themselves in another's shoes is encouraged by the practice of mindsight. With this in mind, how does it make you feel if your mother does the dishes every day without any assistance from you or your siblings? Ask yourself, how would I feel if I had to do the dishes every day? If it doesn't bother you. Another common issue is a lack of adaptability. Parents and other primary caregivers must be adaptable in their approaches to their children's needs. Trying to teach someone if you can't adapt to their learning style is pointless, because every learner and their learning experience are completely unique. Emotional development is vastly different between children of different ages. Understanding your emotional responses and reactions can help you make better decisions in the long run. Go after the why is the admonition here. As an illustration, your child may begin behaving badly in school and causing a disturbance among her peers. Instead of punishing her for this behavior, chasing the why suggests finding out the reasons for this behavior, rather than punishing her. It's possible she enjoys the attention or feels compelled to conform to the group's expectations. It's much easier to deal with a problem once you know why it's happening. As a parent or caregiver, you'll be able to respond more effectively if you know why something is happening. Another way to show flexibility is to choose to see things in a more positive light. Rather than saying, "If you don't finish your vegetables, you won't get dessert," a parent might say, "There's dessert waiting for you when you finish your vegetables." This is a much more encouraging response. For effective parenting, it is essential to establish clear boundaries. Clear and consistent boundary lines are essential. With the help of boundaries, you can better understand and control your child's behavior during a tantrum, making it easier for you to navigate the chaotic world of a child's tantrum. It's a good idea to use the 1, 2, 3 HALT strategy when dealing with certain behaviors and reactions. HALT is an acronym for 4 negative emotions: hunger, rage, loneliness, and exhaustion. You'll get a better sense of why your child acted the way he or she did by going through the acronym. A strategy for engaging with them can be devised once you know why they've acted the way they have, such as because they were hungry, angry, lonely or tired. In addition, you'll know exactly what to teach them at any given time. Ending on a high note. When it comes to dealing with children, parents and caregivers alike can benefit from this book's insightful and relatable case studies. The peaceful and drama-free resolution of conflict can be achieved by taking into account a child's developmental state. Authors acknowledge that there will be times when you don't succeed, but they believe that you can learn from these mistakes in order to improve your performance in the future. In addition, because of this cooperative approach to discipline, anyone in the family can learn these skills. And the skills your child learns now will serve him or her well in the future. Finally, the goal is to connect in order to correct or redirect the message. Reframe no to mean yes in a conditional manner, focus on the positive aspects of the situation, and teach your child Mindsight tools with the help of REDIRECT. That means you might need no drama discipline on hand when you're confronted with an outburst in a supermarket. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.